Welcome to another fine edition of It's a Sports Show. As always, Dolphin Paul, Scott Cray, your fine host in disguise. Paul, what's going on? What are you throwing
Not much.
here?
Well, no, I've been wanting not to talk
we're
too much
laughing
NFL draft.
The problem is we sit here and we talk too much before we're ready to go out on the air, and then it all comes to us just before.
I'll just say this. I'll make a final statement about
this
football.
ought to
I'm
be
very
good.
sad because officially football is just about dead, gone, and
According
buried.
to you, where the NFL draft, first of all, exists, A. B, is the end of the football season, according to you. Of course, I always thought it was when they hoisted a big trophy above their heads, but that's different. And we sit down, we decide it's the post-draft show. I forget, and I think we've already had a show since then, and you kindly remind me that you have the paperwork for every single draft. But I know Frenchie behind the glass there. He's going to hold you down. He's not going to let you go.
I feel a lot of
25
pressure
minutes
today.
on
I'll
that.
tell you that right now.
Tell us what happened. First of all,
Well,
right
let's-
off the bat.
Let's get right to it. There's a few things we could talk about the draft, and we will wrap it up quick, including with the Patriots'
all
selections.
hope
But
so.
right off the bat, the biggest surprise of the draft, the day before the draft, Houston Texans opting to go with Mario Williams, the defensive end out of NC State,
Right.
instead of the glamour boy, the person who just broke a record for selling shirts in the NFL in 1 week.
Better sell shirts and sell dope. That's what I said.
Reggie Bush fell down to number 2 in New Orleans, scooped him right up. Great pick for their city. Somebody they can look up to. So in this
practically
offseason,
fell in their lap. So the big question
did.
is, some people who are close to the draft know what happened. Others don't. Why is the big question. What is the explanation from the Texans as to why they decided
well,
to pass?
apparently the owner of Houston said he didn't want any holdouts. That was his thing. Well, I don't want any holdouts. I want a player. I want to have him signed before the draft. So, not that Reggie Bush would be unsignable, probably be a little more difficult to sign than Mario Williams.
Really?
So they had a contract in place with Mario Williams. He agreed on the contract,
Right.
and they thus selected Mario Williams, which as soon as I saw it, I thought it was a big mistake. I don't think you pass on Reggie Bush. I know we ain't got enough time to talk about that, but I
best
think
overall
most
athlete.
people agreed that this is one of the best college players to come out in recent memory. I don't know if you saw any of the draft at all. His highlights were incredible.
Yep.
This is a player that can change a game. He's not just an average running back. And they took a guy, Mario Williams, who climbed up the charts, but I don't think is the next Reggie White. We'll never know until 2 or 3 years. But I mean,
The fact of the matter is, though, not to state the obvious, but if Reggie Bush wasn't there, Mario would be the number one guy.
probably.
The fact that he moved his way up. Are the Texans using this whole we don't want to hold out? It sounds to me like an awfully good excuse for we don't want to pay.
That could be. That's a very good point. That could be, and I think many fans in Houston are probably upset because Reggie Bush is going to be a star. He's probably going to get a lot of marketing.
Right.
And it's almost a perfect situation for New Orleans. You're of course coming off Hurricane Katrina. Getting Drew Brees and Reggie Bush in the offseason
Right.
certainly should make them a much better team once Drew Brees becomes healthy. And my worry was that the New York Jets would make a play for Reggie Bush.
Right.
And he'd be in the AFC East with the Patriots and Dolphins, of course. They did not. They took an excellent player in DeBrickashaw.
They tried.
They tried to
Couple
get.
of teams tried it to trade up.
They did, but New Orleans said, "Hey, you guys don't. We'll take him."
The
We'll
Texas
take Reggie
mistake
Bush,
is
so.
the New Orleans advantage. So
It'd
the
be interesting to see how that happens. But
Right.
I personally, I'm stating right now, I think it's a major mistake. You don't pass on a guy like that. I don't care what the circumstances are. You draft him and you find a way to sign him.
Right. The teams in the East that is what people care about. The Patriots, obviously. Now, I'll address one of the teams in the East, the easiest one, the Buffalo Bills. They pretty much played the draft like they play football. They outright stunk. They did a terrible job in this draft, and I don't know if
Well,
you
I
want to
mean,
address
I
that.
love Marv Levy as a person. I hear him talk. He's kind of a motivator, but the guy's up there in age, and I don't know what they were doing.
Has he lost his
Yeah,
mind?
it's true. Another guy that we can talk about that'll blend right in with the Buffalo scenario was Matt Leinart, who dropped all the way to 10. Talk about getting a gift. Arizona with Anquan Bolden, Larry Fitzgerald, Edgerrin James, and now they get a potential franchise quarterback, which I think a lot of teams, including the Jets and San Francisco and Oakland, who I thought I was at a draft party, and you should have seen the reaction of people when Oakland went Mike, everybody thought Oakland was the deal for Matt Leinart.
Right.
You know, California. They had Ken Stabler many years ago, left-hander. You know, Randy Moss. I mean, everybody thought that was the spot. When they passed on it, everybody was like, wow. And then Buffalo, they're thinking, Buffalo with J.P. Lossman?
Right.
You know, why? He could go there.
Right.
Not only did Buffalo pass, they took Dante Whitner, who many people believe should have gone later on. So if you're the Buffalo Bills, the wise thing to do would be to trade out of that spot for anything. A water cooler. Go back a few spots, and you're still going to get that guy. So I don't think they played their draft very well. And they traded down to get another guy, a defensive tackle. Let me see, what's his name here? John McCargo, ironically from NC State, who people thought they didn't have to move up to get him. So Buffalo, not very well. The Jets did okay.
The Jets, not a terrible threat in the East, but people are still concerned. What did they do with their number 4 pick, the highest pick out of everyone in the East?
Well, they got the Brickashaw Ferguson, arguably the best tackle. Not arguably, most people, the consensus was that he's the best tackle in the draft. The Jets had problems on the offensive line.
Right.
They lost Kevin Mawai, and in the end of the first round, they came down and grabbed Nick Mangold, the center from Ohio State. So they filled 2 good needs with 2 good players.
Not bad.
Let's see. New Orleans, Tennessee, who took Vince Young, by the way. That's something we were unsure about. San Fran, Oakland, Buffalo, Detroit, who took a good defensive player, Matt Millen, idiot.
Right.
All those teams passed up on Matt Leinart. So 2-3 years down the road, if we're talking about Matt Leinart, all of these teams
could have had him.
Could have had him, and we'll see how that pans out. But Detroit, Matt Millen, just to go on the side story real quick, he's trying to trade Joey Harrington to Miami Dolphins. He's making a complete fool of himself, not because it's the Dolphins. He allowed Joey Harrington to trade with other teams. So he talked with Miami. Miami said blah, blah, blah. They kind of agreed on a contract.
Yep.
So now Matt Millen is crying because he called Cleveland on draft day and wanted to make a trade with Cleveland.
Right.
Cleveland said, okay. They called Joey Harrington. Joey Harrington says, you know what? I'm not playing for anybody but the Dolphins. I've already got a contract with them. So Detroit got kind of shafted there, and now he's crying to the NFL that Miami shouldn't have agreed upon a contract. The NFL said, listen, you allowed him to talk trade. I mean, this guy is just a buffoon. I'm sorry. Matt Millen, general manager of Detroit, is a buffoon.
Let's move on. Your Miami Dolphins.
My Miami Dolphins didn't have a lot of ammunition. They took Jason Allen in the first round, which is a pretty good pick. Nick Saban knew him. We talked about before about Belichick and Saban going with what they know. Right. Saban tried to get him out of high school, and the reason he went to Tennessee instead of LSU was because there was rumors that Nick Saban was going to go to the NFL. So he chose Tennessee. So they made a safe pick there.
Sure.
Miami didn't have a second-round pick because of Dante Culpepper, so you kind of have to count him in this
well
draft.
Worth it.
And the third round, they took a kid, Derek Hagan, wide receiver out of Arizona State, who had the dropsies but had an absolutely productive career, 1,000 yards every year. So, let me just say this. We really don't know what's going to happen with this draft.
I mean, never do.
We can kind of make opinions, and everybody had their experts before the draft and all their, moles and people they knew and tips and so forth. We really don't know what these players are going to be. We can only, obviously some of them are going to be good, but a lot of these players are going to turn out to be busts.
And to add to Miami, most recently just found out Marcus Vick, who went undrafted due to a ton of different reasons, is going to show up for rookie Dolphins camp. So this just in, you just found out about this player that's going on. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, he'll get a look-see. I mean, it's worth bringing him in. There's no contract situation, no promise of a job. Just bringing him in, work him out, maybe feel it out. The guy's got some talent, but I don't hold out a lot of hope that Marcus Vick is going to do anything. Just judging by his past, he's gotten himself in trouble.
A lot of problems.
Arguably more talent than Michael Vick, but unfortunately he has a lot of off-the-field problems.
Finally, the Patriots. Most Patriot Nation pretty happy with what the Patriots did. Why don't you go ahead and fill people in there?
Well, they took Lawrence Maroney, what was one of the most productive drafts in college, productive players in college, from Minnesota. Everybody had him taking D'Angelo Williams. We talked about that last week. And again, this is what I say. People had, the Patriots, they're going to go linebacker, corner, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And I want people, listen, you don't know what Belichick is going to do.
It's one team, you have no idea.
And if anything leaks out, people are going to be terminated or fined and so forth. So, again, I was at a draft show, and when the name Lawrence Maroney came out, everybody's like, oh. But big, solid player. Obviously, insurance for Corey Dillon.
Right.
And
Smart move by the Patriots.
I mean, they kind of surprised people because their defense is aging a little bit,
right,
and they went offense.
Well, I think people are, they're realizing that the possibility of Corey Dillon making a comeback is very good. That maybe he just had a bad
He's going to be good, but he's 30 years old.
Right. So beyond this comeback year, what can you expect? Right. And if you could have a young guy like this sit over his shoulder on a good comeback year, that's the best time to learn. Yeah. I think the Patriots made a good move.
And Lawrence Maroney had 1,000 yards every year in his first 3 years. Not many players have done that.
Right.
The interesting pick the players made was in the second round, they traded down and got Chad Jackson, the wide receiver from Florida, who many people thought should have been a first-round pick. Now, ironically, again, at this draft show, they said they were going to have Belichick do a press conference, and he replied back and said, no, we'll do it at 6,
right,
leading people to believe that he was trying to work something out. So he came down, got Chad Jackson, Lawrence Maroney. Patriots are one of the teams, them in Denver, who also moved down, got Jay Cutler, one of the QBs, and traded for Javon Walker from Green Bay. So those two teams right there, New England and Denver, got pretty high grades. I don't put a lot of stock in grades because we don't know.
It's hard to say right now.
Just to give you
but the overall outlook, I mean, it's hard to. If you're saying about a team in the draft, it's hard to say right now how they did. Then that means it wasn't negative. Now you look at a team like Buffalo. You don't really say we don't know what's going to happen. You say, wow, they really crapped on that draft. More than likely, of course, you go with odds.
I mean, there's a small chance that they could be geniuses, but. I mean, I'll just give you one quick draft an example. Early in the 70s, I'm not sure, but before the Steelers went on their dynasty run, they had a draft which included, John Stallworth,
yep,
Jack Ham, like 4 or 5 guys who Hall of Famers, and that was called one of the worst drafts in history until it was proven out.
Right.
So we really don't know, but I mean, looking at it, either way, Buffalo, the guy they took, you kind of look at when could they have got him? Did they get good value?
Exactly.
He would have slid down.
He would have slid down.
You should be able to entice a team to give you something to move into your spot.
Right.
If you know you can get the guy. It's not just picking players, it's getting value. Like the Patriots did a great job in getting Chad Jackson in the second round because most people had him as the top receiver off the board. So
yep,
the Steelers also made a good move. World champs. Moving down, they lost to Antoine Randall.
Yep.
They went down and picked Santonio Holmes.
Good point.
So, pretty good move there. But 2-3 years will tell how this draft works.
Or in some cases, possibly in the next year or two. Some of these guys at the top of the draft could go right away.
Just a couple local guys. Will Blackman from BC got drafted by the Packers.
Good.
I mean, that's about it. Other than that.
Now you need permission from Frenchie behind the glass. Frenchie, is that enough?
Goodbye, football.
Is that it now for football until
something comes up?
Which should be.
Did he have to say it that way?
I'm sure.
Goodbye, football.
Yes.
I mean,
it was. If your question was that intentional?
It's
the
like
answer
a
is
vampire
yes.
movie when you take the stake and you drive it through the heart.
Hey,
Don't shed a tear for DP.
Don't shed a tear for him.
Apparently, Madonna's in the house.
You probably don't know this, but I don't know, the Red Sox are playing baseball right about now.
Is there baseball now? Did it start?
There's a series against the Yankees. Of course, we're shooting this 2 days prior to people watching it, and we don't know, or they know we don't know that.
You want to know who the Patriots picked in round 4?
Ugh,
The 165th pick?
I don't even
Or
want
the
to
Buffalo and the 400th?
Stop, you're killing me.
All right, let's put football the rest.
Behind us for at least a week anyway. I don't know if we can go beyond that. What do you want to talk about next?
Well, obviously, we have to go to, by the time the show airs, the series will have been over, but as we know it right now, the Red Sox are back in first place, having played the Yankees last night.
Beautiful thing. Just in time, too. Let me tell you, I didn't give the Red Sox a chance in the world to beat the Yankees last night because I had a chance to actually sit down and watch a lot of baseball within the last week and a half, and boy, did I pick a bad week and a half to do it because there were 3 stinkers in there of just terrible baseball where the Red Sox, up until if this Yankees game didn't happen the way it did last night, of course, we're talking in hindsight here because we're the second game of this great 2-game series.
It's tonight.
It's completely opposite than what we normally see. We see 10 games by this point. We only seen 2. We haven't seen the second game yet. My immediate feeling, less than 24 hours after this first Yankees game in the series, is thank God for the win and the way things happened because the Red Sox, man, they were stinking for quite some time.
Well, there was some side issues, of course, and people will obviously know this by the time the show airs.
Right.
The Red Sox got Doug Marabelli back.
Thank God.
Who flew
Didn't want him to
cross-country
leave.
the same day, got to Logan apparently around 7 o'clock.
Yep.
Made it to Fenway in about 12, 13 minutes or so.
13 minutes before game time, he arrived.
With a state trooper changed in the back of the
And we'll get to that in a minute. Not him changing, but this whole state trooper situation.
And made it to the ballpark to catch for Wakefield.
I absolutely, you could bring out the old footage. I was so against Doug Marabelli leaving. I wasn't really against what they were getting, so I guess that might be a little against what I'm saying, but I never liked Doug Marabelli leaving. The guy always seemed to come through. When he played, he always seemed to be doing something at all times. And I don't mean just defensively, catching against Wakefield, the hardest person to catch in all of Major League Baseball, but his bat, and I looked, and he's a career .240 hitter. That was surprising to me. This guy just seems to come through with a home run or a single, something every time. And of course, we won't even go with how he catches defensively against Wakefield. He had something like 3 pass balls all of last year. Bard, whatever the heck his name is, had 10 already this year. Already with Wakefield.
I think it was a little more than that, not to contradict your information, just because I heard this. I think he had like 12 or 13.
Marabelli?
Yeah.
All of last year?
Yeah, is that a fact? I thought he
Well,
had like 12 or 13, and Bart already had like 8 up to this point.
I know that
So-
Bart had 10 at this point. So.
We talked about this last year, and of course, I don't know if you're going to remember or the viewers are going to remember. When Marabelli was hurt there for a little while,
Yep.
Wakefield had somebody else catching. When Marabelli came back, Wakefield was a completely different pitcher.
Whole
And last
different
night, it's amazing to me that we undervalued the value of
A backup catcher.
Marabelli
Right.
catching for Wakefield.
Absolutely.
But Red Sox, hey, they made a good move. They traded the guy and they said, hey, you know what?
Yes.
We need him back. They brought him back.
Absolutely.
Completely different game. I mean, he
Shows you how important the guy
Right.
was for them to. I mean, how many times do you see that happen?
and he stopped some balls. I mean,
We're 26 games into the season. That's it. And already we've asked the guy to come back. It didn't take long.
and he probably would have had a home run if it wasn't for the wicked wind.
Then again, there would have been about 6 home runs last night.
there would have been, but
Aside from Ortiz.
Well-
that must have been a monster shot that Ortiz hit in order to make it out
that's
of the
what
park.
makes that home run unbelievable by Ortiz. He absolutely
He mashed
cranked
the
that
ball.
home run.
Mashed it.
And we saw the other ones that we thought might have been gone or any other day. The score of that game would have been.
Jeter had a shot
Yeah.
that could have made it.
The score would have been probably 14-10 or
Oh,
14-11, but I mean,
Let me tell you something, though. You talk about the score could have been 14-10, and the win had a large part in that. But I saw something yesterday that I've been preaching all season long, and I saw it yesterday, and it really stuck out like a sore thumb because the Yankees didn't have it. Defense. Now, granted, the Yankees did make some good defensive plays, but spectacular plays that you would see all the time. Man, when you see what goes on at the first and third base corners and the defense that goes on, it's a whole different Red Sox team than we've seen for a long time. Now, you put this out to the viewers are going to say, yes, but we're sacrificing all the power. It'll come around. I don't like the way the lineup is right now as far as, especially at the head of the lineup. Ortiz hitting solo shots, and this is before the Yankees game. Ortiz hitting solo shots just isn't going to cut it. Coco Crisp needs to get back into this lineup. Obviously, the guy needs to get, unhurt and get back into this lineup so he can get on base. So these home runs by Ortiz and/or Manny actually mean a little more than just one run at a time.
yeah, I think it'll make a big difference when Coco comes back. I worry about one thing is yesterday Manny and Ortiz had some production.
Yes.
And it seems to me as they go, the Red Sox go. I mean, there's very few nights where they don't do anything and everybody else steps up. So
Right.
I'm a little worried that those two guys have to produce. I mean, every
But
night.
between the two,
and
at
it
least
is
one of them
a
should be producing.
long season.
Oh, here we go.
So they have to produce a lot, and it just worries me that, I mean, the shortstop is very good
Gonzalez.
defensively.
Yes. That's
But
about it. That's where it stops.
we're going to have to give this guy maybe another month or so.
I don't think they're going to go that far. I think
mean,
there's
186
already
right
talks.
now. He's
Yep.
batting 186. We checked.
They won't go a month. Trust me on this, Paul. They will not go
I didn't
a
expect the guy to hit 300, but man, give us a little something.
Right.
I mean,
when you look at what he's batting now,
250,
that's what I
I
was
think
just
would be
gonna say.
acceptable.
Yes, absolutely.
186 when it's an automatic card. It's almost like you're in the National League and the guy's a pitcher.
And he's a good defensive shortstop, but he's not exactly like, the league's best shortstop to be sacrificing
he's so
that much.
unbalanced
Right.
because he's very good defensively, and when he's up at the plate,
trust me, they will not wait that long. The one thing they have done since the start of this season, and Mirabelli's a perfect example, they have not wasted time. These guys are not messing around this year. I don't know what the mindset is or what the change is, but trust me, folks, the Red Sox are not going to watch Gonzalez go through time and time again of going, 1 for or 0 for every night. They're absolutely going to make some changes.
It's too bad because he's a terrific defensive player. I mean, there's a couple guys more that I'd like to talk about. Josh Beckett, who looks to rebound it tonight against the Seekonk.
Let's hope so.
If they get the game, and I guess the weather's kind of lightened up a little bit, but there might be a threat of rain. And John Papelbon.
Unbelievable.
I mean, right.
This guy, this is something we have not seen. I might have repeated myself from last week. This is something we haven't seen in a long time. To see a save guy, the way that he comes out, throws strike 3, stiff straight down, walks around the mound, waits for the ball to get to him. Just absolutely perfect mentality for a closer.
Blows the ball by A-Rod. Blows it by him. One of the best hitters in the game, if not the best.
A high fastball out of the strike zone.
Now, I want to see. I don't want to be critical.
Wait, for Pujols fans, second best player in the game. I
Well,
just wanted to verify that. One of the best.
I would agree. Pujols right now is in another stratosphere. 14 home runs in April. What's he going to get, like 140 this year? It's unbelievable.
You might wonder.
But
Papelbon, just out of control.
I just want to see when Papelbon gets rocked. And he will get rocked.
Right. See how he rebounds.
Let's see if he rebounds.
You know what,
right
though,
now,
dude?
he's got the haircut. He's young.
Right.
He's confident. He's cocky. But let's see when it's 2-1 and he gives up a 2-run shot. And I think he'll do well. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's been nothing but glory for this kid.
I agree
right
with
now.
you.
He's
I
very
think
young.
he will rebound fine. I think he's got the perfect mentality. He stated it in the past. He just hasn't had the opportunity of running into that situation where he's been able to do it. But he's got the mentality of one day at a time. Because when the press is talking to him about positive stuff, he's saying, yes, but I'm not getting all caught up in it. It's one day at a time. I have to understand that success one day does not breed success the very next day.
Yeah, he says that, but he's still very young. So
I'm sure he's psyched to death. I mean, he's closing games against the Yankees and getting saves
I bet
for
you
it.
he's thinking, let me see, boy, if I were a free agent, cha-ching, cha-ching,
No,
cha-ching.
he's not even thinking that right now.
Wow,
There's
listen.
no way.
Scott, you're talking
Got a long ways to go.
Yeah, but you're talking about a guy who's, I don't know what Papelbon is
He's not
making.
there yet.
Maybe
He's enjoying it.
What's he making? A few $100,000? I mean,
yeah,
a guy like him with his stature right now, close to me, he'd probably elevate his salary.
Got to keep it up, though. He's got to keep it up.
Absolutely, but
let's hope he doesn't go saving 60 games and be another Eric Gagne. Where I don't know if anybody's following LA, but this guy's hasn't been on a mound in months now.
But he's
a little
probably
too
thinking,
much.
boy, if I had a contract,
Keep this in, Red Sox Nation. Think about this for a second. Papelbon has come in the game an awful lot because with the Red Sox scoring less runs now, they're in save situations more often. If you had that 4 or 5 run cushion like you had a lot last year, you didn't need to bring Papelbon in. You could bring in, our other turkey there to close the Timlin or even Folk to close the game because without the save situation, you don't have to worry about it. Let's hope that the Red Sox do not overuse Jonathan Papelbon and cause some sort of issue, especially in the second half after the All-Star break. That's the only thing I'm saying. We see young guys get put on a limit, a yearly limit. Let's hope the Red Sox show that respect to this young player and not overuse him, especially with the heat he's
Well,
doing.
I would agree with you, but unfortunately, if they're not going to hit, either you mix in Folk, you give him some time off, you watch his pitch count.
Right.
It's not, and I don't mean watch his pitch count during the game.
Not
once
on
he comes in,
not on a game-by-game basis,
Right,
but I
mean,
hope
in
that
general,
somebody is keeping track of what this guy is doing so far. So as we approach the All-Star break, if he's a little over average on what a closer should be throwing, especially with the heat he throws.
I almost thought in last night's game, is it necessary for him to come in? I mean, if it's not a safe situation.
That's exactly the point I'm making. Maybe they're testing him to see how he does in the big show.
I don't mean only come in safe situations. But
Right.
last night they had,
You're right.
they had a comfortable lead with the Ortiz's home run.
I think they're probably looking to put him on the stage in Fenway against the Yankees, kind of get him on the big stage because we all know he's going to be going to Yankee Stadium at some point, and he's got to have it down. By the way, I got to find out from our viewers, I heard Papelbon was going to be coming out. He said this on a presser on the radio that he was going to come out to Wild Thing. That was going to be his theme song when he came out. So I got to pitch it out there to the people that have been at the stadium. What did you want him to come out to?
You know
Feliz
why?
Navidad? What?
5 minutes.
The Sound of Music. The Hills Are Alive with the
What
Sound.
do you mean you don't like it? Wild Thing.
Wild
That's
Thing.
perfect.
Do you remember the last Wild Thing in the major leagues?
Are you talking about the movie or the real Major
No,
Leagues?
Wild Thing, the pitcher for Cincinnati there.
Who's that? Danny Graves?
Philadelphia, Mitch.
Mitch. That's right.
Mitch.
What was his name? Boy, I'm
Was
just,
Mitch his first name or his last name?
boy.
Mitch from here at the studio? He was a pitcher
You
for
know
Philly?
what? I'm just drawing a blank. I see his
So
face.
what's your
He's been
point?
all over the
That
news.
Wild Thing was a song
Well,
and
it's
the guy
going to
sucked?
remind me of him.
Did the guy suck? Or was he good?
Yeah, he threw up a lot of bombs.
Well,
All right,
here's
then.
what happened.
Point made.
Mitch came in. He was dominant.
Yeah.
He was the guy, I don't know if you remember, he opened the bullpen door and he charged out to the mound like at full speed. I can't believe I can't think of his name. I must be getting old. And then he had that article, I think, in Sports Illustrated about, homosexual.
Yes. Rocker, John Rocker. No. Yeah. Maybe.
Rocker, exactly.
Rocker, right?
John Rocker, exactly.
Okay. So
Mitch.
so it brings back bad memories.
Well,
from you.
yeah, because he was the Wild Thing. That was his thing, Wild Thing.
Somebody's got to do it. So let's take a look around Major League Baseball because Red Sox Nation only follows Red Sox Nation and they worry most about the Yankees, but they want to know from us what other teams are great or pitiful. The New York Mets, 17-8, are already 6 games up in their division. No one else has a winning record in this division. The Mets, is this what they should have done last year when they added a bunch of firepower? Or is it strictly all Pedro?
Mitch Williams.
Mitch Williams, that's who the reliever was? It wasn't John Rocker?
Philadelphia, No.
Oh, all right, there you go. All that John Rocker talk for nothing.
Mitch Williams from Philadelphia.
Now I'm confused.
But no, we'll have to check that. I'm serious.
I did.
I think
there you go.
it was Rocker. Rocker was the one who used to fly out of the dugout,
no,
and he
it
was
wasn't.
called the Wild Thing.
Oh, you guys are
No, it
unbelievable.
wasn't.
Okay, well,
Should
we'll
I
have to-
leave? Do I need to
We'll
be
have
here?
to have a correction.
You want
on
to just talk to the voice?
Well, I want to
We
give
need
the
a
folks the
shot
right
on
information. When you said Rocker, I was pretty sure. it's
Frenchie,
Rocker.
we need to set up a camera on you so that, this makes a little more sense.
You know what he could be like? I don't want to say Stab Boy because that's kind of.
That's nice.
But no.
We just went to black now.
On PTI, when the guy comes up
Yes.
and says you guys made all kinds of mistakes.
Anyway, New York 17-8. How about the Cincinnati
it's
Reds?
not all Pedro, by the way. If that's what you asked.
It's a little bit. The Cincinnati Reds, 19-8, with the best record in all of Major League Baseball. Who would have seen this
Why?
coming?
Why?
Yes, why?
Why? Because Bronson Arroyo is 5-0 with a
How do you like
very
that?
low ERA, and he's pitching lights
Frenchie,
out.
what was his ERA? He barreled it off earlier.
2.06.
2.06, and I was concerned as to who he played, who he pitched against, because could be crappy teams for all you know. It could be Kansas City, you know what I mean? But according to Frenchie,
Well, not only
he
that,
just went up
here-
against Pujols.
Here's the question we must ask ourselves:
Would he be doing it if he was in Boston?
what would his record be? Now he's
Good question.
pitching well, so I don't.
Minutes.
He's
I
not
don't
going to do.
care.
He's not going to have 25 wins.
He
at the
might
end
not
of the
be
season.
5-0 in Boston, but you know
pitching-
what? Right now, even though Willie Mopena certainly, shows some pop in his bat.
Right.
You know, we talk
And Willie
about.
Mopena is a work in progress. He's a long-term thing. You know what I mean?
So we'll see.
Bronson Arroyo has a chip on his shoulder, and he is pitching like it, and I'm happy for the guy. I'm glad. Chicago White Sox, the defending World Series champs, 18-8, between Konerko and the return to Cleveland of Jim Thome. These guys are knocking the ball out of the park. They're just mashing the ball, and they've added to their team to make it that much better. Although Detroit, a darn good team, just a game back on their heels. I think that AL Central is going to be interesting to watch. Anyway, so that's about all I
Absolutely,
have
that's
to
a
say
little
about
bit of
that.
wrap on baseball, but
Hey, apparently, just as a side note, Kobe Bryant's wife really did forgive him for all the
She had another
nasty
baby?
things that he did
Is
because
it
she
his
had
baby?
another baby. Who knows?
And,
revenge, you mean, on her
also-
part?
Seconds.
LA Clippers won a series.
Yes. When
might watching that.
next week, we'll definitely talk more NBA. It's a sports show at yahoo.com. Keep sending your emails. Again, Red Sox Nation, let me know if he's coming out to Wild Thing. I want to find out. Dolphin Paul, thanks as
Football
always.
is over.
Football's gone, and so are we.